Tell everybody what your business grossed last year in 2024.
175,000. Listen, other people just like me did the same exact thing. I'm no different than anybody, you know. And if I could do it, if I could just follow the course, follow the steps, and you can do the same exact thing.
If you want to learn how to build a $175,000 a year signing agent business, then you're going to want to watch this video because I'm here with Keith out of the great state of Tennessee, who's going to share his journey. Hello there. My name is Mark Wills. I'm America's largest notary coach and here with one of my students. Keith, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Mark? How are you?
I am so good. Your story's so great. First off, what state are you in?
I'm in Tennessee.
The great state of Tennessee. I love it. I say that because everyone's like, oh, you can only make money in California or Texas. No, all over the country. It just comes down to hard work and execution. Tell everybody what your business grossed last year in 2024.
175.
175. Say the whole thing.
175,000.
When you say that and you hear that,
Yeah,
how do you feel?
I feel good. I feel accomplished. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Accomplished is a good word. I think that's a great word because you're going to be able to share your story where you were 4 years ago.
Right.
And what I want people to watch who've seen some of these episodes before is like, Keith is not a quote unquote overnight success story. This is 3-4 years of hard work, effort, consistency, hustling. And I share that, Keith, because I think a lot of people want overnight success, right? It's
Right.
like, look, if you're just willing to put in one foot in front of the other, put in the work, you'll get where Keith is. Anything you want to say to that?
Absolutely. But it didn't happen overnight. Like you said, it's a process, but you just got to stick with it.
You've been a student of mine for 4 years. Take us back to the beginning. Most people find my course because they need it to work.
Yeah.
You were no different. Take us back to what even got you in a position where you needed to find being a signing agent. So just let's share your story to get people inspired.
Okay. So it was right before COVID I guess 2019, 2020. And I was a warehouse manager and my building was closing down. So once that was done, I tried to shift over and get another job and was sending out resumes and nothing was happening. I just could not find work at all, and it was started to get really concerned because I have a family and but thank God I had older children, adult children, and they were helping out, but at the same time, it didn't make me feel good.
What do you mean they were helping out?
Well, they were paying the bills, plain and simple. I wasn't bringing in any money. I was trying as much as I could, but nothing was happening.
I know it brings you back to a moment that, you didn't have the best feelings, but I just want to slow down. Like you had your children paying your bills, grown children.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what your wife was feeling at that time. Like, how did you feel as a dad, as a head of a household? And the only reason I asked you to share that, Keith, is because I want people to realize that just because you're down, you don't have to stay down. And we've all had those moments of quote unquote bottom. And so how did you feel when like they were literally paying your bills?
I mean, obviously, if you've been married, you'll know that having money problems does not always make a good fit, and of course there was turmoil there. Not to put everything out, but it was hard, you know what I mean? Because here you are, the breadwinner, and then now the bread goes away. What do you do? And everybody's looking towards you to bring things in, especially my wife. So it was very disheartening, very discouraging. Kind of get that, you get that pit in your stomach where you feel like, oh man, why can't I do this? And then a lot of times that pit would come to your throat. There were several nights, you know what I mean, crying, honestly, just kind of wondering, like, how's this going to change? Is this going to change? When's this going to change? That's kind of where I was at, just to be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty because I think it helps someone watching who might have that pit right here
Yeah.
as we speak. And the cool part about your story is you didn't stay there, right? To me, this is a story of like, I was down, but I didn't stay down. I mean, looking back, now that you're where you're at,
Mhm.
If Keith can build this business, do you think anybody can build this business, and why?
Absolutely, 100%. Just looking at all the different people like yourself and the students that you have, I was inspired. I was inspired because I said if they could do it, then I could do it. And I knew that I needed to learn that material and then execute what's being taught to me. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I know that people look at it and say, maybe I can't do it. And of course there was some question in my mind, can I actually do this? Is it going to be enough to take care of my household? But I was really at a place where I was like, what do I have to lose?
Mm.
What do I have to lose? So
Yeah.
I went all in, and this is the result.
Let's go. I think there's so many good takeaways from that. Thank you for saying that. But the biggest thing I heard was execute, right? Because everyone has the same course, but not everybody has the same thing with it. You were one of those students who took what I told them and you did it, and then you did it again and did it again until you built where you are today. It's a year of a 4-year journey. What I think also is inspiring about this, and again, thank you so much for just opening up and letting the audience know that like you were there and now you're here, and you opened up with saying you feel so accomplished, and now I know why.
Mhm,
But I think the second inspirational part about your journey is you came in during the COVID years.
mhm,
So if you're new to being a loan signing agent, you're watching this, during 2021, 22, we had the lowest interest rates in the history of America, literally. So to some degree, there was kind of free loan signings being handed around. It felt like it and during COVID. Well, why don't you share with everybody, what did you make your first year in the business, more or less?
about 60,000.
Okay. And then when did you make your second year of the business, more or less?
Roughly about between 70 and 80.
Okay. And your third year in the business you made?
And that's when it went over 100.
And then this year you made 175,000. So the reason I'm sharing that with everybody is in the two quote unquote busiest time of our industry,
Mhm,
21, 22, you made the least amount of money. But yet in the highest interest rates we've had since 2018, you've made the most money.
mhm,
And I think that is inspiring. A lot of people, when rates went up, they left the industry.
mhm.
Rates went up, you made more money. So walk people through that, man. I mean, my first question is you just came from being laid off, all the turmoil within your family, like you just stated.
Mhm.
And you're like 60, 70 grand. You're like, dude, I got this. And then boom, rate spike. You could have easily been like, I need to go back to a warehouse job, right? Uncertainty's coming back in. So walk people through the mindset of how you're like interest rates go from 3 to 6% almost overnight,
Yeah.
but your business more than doubles the next year. So explain how interest rates go up and your income doubles. Talk through that mindset of like what made you stick with it and ultimately how you doubled your income in a higher interest rate.
I'm not, I mean, some people say I'm smart, but, I'm not the smartest person in the world. But I understand this one thing, or I understood this one thing is that people are always going to need a place to stay. Whether interest rates go up, down, sideways, people are always going to buy. So I said, the industry is not going to stop. I mean, it's huge. But I'm the only thing that could stop me. If I go ahead and put myself down and I say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do this, then yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I shifted my mindset, well, with the understanding that I'm going to go ahead and do what Mark taught me in the course and then continue to go on. And this is kind of where I shifted the mindset from just doing signing services to going direct. And I knew that, going direct was going to get me the more that I was looking for.
Okay, I'm writing down notes because you are dropping fire. So what you said is the only thing that could stop me is me.
Yes.
So good. I hope everybody heard what he just said right there. And what I love too, and it's a mindset shift. You said I needed to have it. And I appreciate that vulnerability too. Like we all kind of get down, but you're like, okay, snap out of it. And my effort's going to equal more business. But like that was the moment you also decided I'm going to go direct.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, signings are going to slow down. Well, then if signings going to slow down, I need to make twice the money doing the same thing. Did
Exactly.
everybody hear that right there? Because there's people watching this right now who only do signing service business who complain they're not making more. Well, Keith was like, if I want to make more, then I need to go direct. Those are a couple of the switches that went over in your mind that I think people need to hear. And why I bring successful students on these is to realize everybody has the same course,
Right.
but not everybody does the same thing with it. You have this idea of like, look, I want to make twice the money. I got to go direct. And the cool thing is you made twice the money, literally doubled your income, and probably actually worked about the same because you went direct in year 3 versus just signing services. I mean, this is an incredible story. Let's move to the income journey. Okay. Let's be a little more specific in that because I think there's some inspiration in here.
Uh-huh.
You made 60, 70,000 year 1, year 2. I'm looking at my notes down here. And then you doubled your income year 3. And part of the reason you doubled your income was because you went direct. Walk everybody through that, right? I think, Keith, that there is this myth that signing agents that are successful like you don't get nervous, right? Like, oh, they just have the gift of gab. They just walk into title companies. I have a feeling that's not you because you were so comfortable signing services for 2 years. And then you made the decision, dang it, I now realize this is the thing I have to do. So walk people through that to make them realize you're human. You get nervous. Can you remember the first time you marketed and if there's any funny stories or stories of courage that you can maybe share?
Can I say this, Mark? Because all right, and because I just tell the people the real. When I went into the first title company, I didn't know what to say. I really didn't. I didn't have, an elegant speech, and I thought I did. I wrote it down. You know what I mean? Trying to
Yep.
prep myself as much as possible. But like you said, your nerves, you're nervous, and everything like that. I didn't get past the front desk. I didn't get past the front desk. And we were getting I got stopped at the front desk, and I was trying to figure out how do I get past the front desk. But I said, okay, this is just one title company. Let me go to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. I started seeing the same answers from that were stopping me. So I said, how do I get past these answers? And then it finally hit me on what I needed to do. And so it was consistency, comfortability, being confident, and just sharing what my expertise was going to be. And I also thought about the problems that I had when I made mistakes, and I put that in my pitch.
Ah, that's good.
So I said, hey, listen, there were times where I didn't drop the docs off right in time, timely manner. So I put that in the pitch. Hey, I can drop docs off and make sure they're there. I also can drop docs off at the office. So these started using specifics in my pitch, which got me to the manager of the office or the escrow officer, which allowed me to be able to go direct.
Well, he just dropped some nuggets there. Everybody rewind that because he told you exactly what he says. But I want to stick to the mindset because what I just wrote down here is, you couldn't even get the words out on the first one.
No, I
Like you
stuttered.
had everything memorized. You walk
Yeah.
in out the window. But how come the first one, quote unquote, bombed? I actually don't think it bombed. I think you learned from it.
Yeah.
The question I have to inspire others is what made you go to the next one? You just bombed the first one. What made you be like, you know what? I may have bombed, but I'm going to door number 2. What was that?
Like I said, just watching others, and I said, if they can do it, then I can do it. Period. You know.
And I want to stop and unpack that because I think this goes untalked about a lot.
Mhm.
Is successful people use other people's success as motivation, not discouragement. You said a couple times, I've seen other people do it, which means I know I could do it.
Right.
See, and that's a mindset, a successful person's mindset.
Uh-huh.
An unsuccessful person sees somebody in a Rolls Royce and goes, why would someone spend money on a Rolls Royce? I see someone in a Rolls Royce and I go, what did that person do to get the Rolls Royce? And
All
so
right.
it's two different mindsets. And so it's inspiring. That's how successful people think. And you're saying the same thing. It's like, if other people can go market direct, and gosh darn it, I can market direct too.
That's
Right.
right.
And that's the mindset that you have, which I hope other people are inspired by. It's like, okay, that stunk, but if other people in LSS are doing it, then I can do it too. And that's the mindset shift I hope everyone hears. If Keith can do $175,000 in a year in revenue, then so can you.
Yeah.
So looking back at your numbers, you go from 60, 70, 160, 175. I see a signing agent who's consistently gone up. What do you attribute your graph to going up each year? You're always better than next year. In 2025, I'm fully expecting 200, $200,000 plus from you.
Mhm.
So what makes, tell people like how you keep going up in your business, and tell them the secret behind that.
Consistency.
Mm,
That's really it. I mean, that's the number one word that I try to live by, is try to be consistent. And what I mean when I say consistency is, like I said, yes, I might have bombed the first door, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop me for the second, third, fifth, 100th door. I got to keep on knocking, got to keep on going. And once I did that, and then I got our first client. I was like, oh, this is great. We can actually do this, and it just kind of inspired me even more to keep knocking on doors, even though you still get rejections. I still get rejections. It doesn't matter. But that's not going to stop me from keep on going.
I think you crushed that answer because I wrote down something here is like, you just said, I got that first direct client.
Mhm.
Like that was sweet success. And that inspired yourself to go to the next one because it felt so good. So what I mean by that is it's somebody who's present enough to
Mhm.
celebrate the win. It wasn't focusing on the 4 no's, 5 no's, whatever. It's like
Right.
when I got that first one, you just said, I got that first one, man. And that made me want to get the second one. Again, that's a mindset of a successful person. They don't see a win as like, oh, 1 out of 5 said yes. That one is all I need to inspire me to do more. And I mean, you're so full of wisdom, Keith. I want more wisdom out of you. So I always ask every successful person, if there's one piece of advice that you can give somebody to build a business, what would that one piece of advice be?
Not giving up, not giving up, not giving in, realizing that if we got one, we can get another. If we got two, we can get three. And that's pretty much how we grew the business, and still to this day grow the business. That's how you do it.
How many doors do you think to this day you've knocked on title
Oh,
company?
hundreds,
Hundreds. Everybody
hundreds.
hear that? Hundreds. See, what I want people to hear is they hear the 175, $175,000, right? But they don't see the hundreds of doors. For every student that has overnight success, there is 50 that are like you. It is, I'm going to do it until I freaking become successful.
Yep.
Hundreds of doors you've knocked on. And so I want people not to see the 175, $175,000 in revenue. I want people to hear or see the hundreds of doors you knocked on.
Mhm.
Because anyone can build this business if you're willing to knock on doors. It is just about letting people know you're open for business. When did it click for you that this was really a business about letting people know you're open for business, as cliche as that is?
When did it click?
Yeah.
Well, once we got that first customer, that's when
Mhm.
it really clicked. And can I just add, Mark, that
Yeah.
we also go back to the ones that we've already knocked on doors.
Ah,
Never stop. We never just do one and done. We always continue to keep going back, going back, going back. Especially if they give us a card, we send gift cards to them, coffee gift cards, emails. We do that times of like holidays. We send out different things there. Just keep us before them, so that when
yeah.
we do show up in person again, they say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know who you are, Keith." you know,
Ah, I
so
love
that's
it.
what we do. It's constant. So, even though you get a no, that doesn't mean that's going to be a no forever, because some of our no's have turned into yeses. We just had to be consistent. That's another part of being consistent. And the mindset, like I said earlier, is that if they can do it, then I can do it. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, if they throw us out, there's been a couple title companies that we've been there 7 or 8 times, you
I hope
know,
everybody heard that 7, 8 times.
Yep, 7 or 8 times.
And what I want to unpack as you keep dropping fire is what you said is I follow up and they're like, oh, I know who you are, Keith.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sometimes marketing is about KLT, know, like, trust.
Mhm.
They can't trust you if they don't know you. They can't like you if you don't aren't consistent.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's like, again, I want everybody to hear this. Like you just said, a no just means not right now. I've been the same person 7, 8 times. I got 3 no's before I finally got a yes. And again, these conversations are about letting people know the mindset of a success. You're making multi 6 figures. I mean, that's crazy, right? I'm rounding up, but dude, 175 is incredible, but it's because you understand marketing. Marketing is about KLT, know, like, trust. People got to know who you are in order to hire you,
That's
right?
right.
And then in order for some people to like you, they just got to see you a few times. Like, I don't blame them for not liking me the first time they met me because that's the first time you met me.
Right.
But I'm going to walk in with a smile each time so you get to like me.
Mhm.
And if you walk in enough, guess what? They trust you.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that is what he's really saying by like, Mark, they actually tell me, oh, I know who you are. It's because I've put myself in front of them. And it's no accident why you're crushing it, man. And I'm so proud of you, man.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing the story because this is a story of a business owner who's dedicated. This is a story of a father, of a husband who wants to be an example and let his family know that, like, look, just because you're down and out doesn't mean that you're out. I always wrap up with this question, man. It's been such a good conversation. Is you've been a 4-year veteran, you're a 4-year veteran of the industry, going on year 5.
Mhm.
If you can look back at your journey, is there something you would do different to maybe accelerate your success that you know now that you wish you would have done then?
I would have went direct a lot earlier.
Why?
I was fearful. Let's just be honest. And the reason why I didn't go direct is because I didn't think I knew enough. I didn't think I had enough skills. I didn't think that, who am I to go direct? It was, I'm not a signing service. How can I do it? But then I realized, in order to make this shift, in order to go to the next level, I have to at least try. And that's what I did. Tried, and it worked.
Dude, I hope everyone just heard the vulnerability there. And I think there's people watching this right now, Keith, who needed to hear what you just said. There are students who are been in the business for a year only doing signing services because they have self-doubt.
Yeah.
And you had that. I'm not supposed to go direct. That's for other people. That's not for me. Like they would never hire me. All these voices in our head. And I love your vulnerability of sharing that so they hear that you're like everybody else. But the difference is you just push through that self-doubt. So let me have a follow-up question to that. So what is kind of your trick, your solution to getting through it back 2 years ago when you were having this?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I understand numbers. And if I'm
Mm,
going to move from this bracket to the next bracket, that means I got to make more money doing the same thing. That's the only way, because I can't create time. So the only way I can do it is I have to be able to shift what I'm currently doing, and I need to be able to bump the margins up. Well, the only way I can bump the margins up is if I go direct.
what I heard was a pragmatic way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So what pushed me through the self-doubt was understanding my only solution to making more money was going through that front door. So it wasn't this esoteric, rah, rah, rah. I can do it, Keith. I can do it. It's like, look, there's a problem. I need
Mhm.
more money. That's the problem.
Right.
You also made the decision when interest rates were going up. So you're like, look, I see the writing on the wall that interest rates are going up. I also need more money for the same amount of effort. And so I pragmatically or rationally or logically came to the conclusion that more money is on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
And there is no other solution besides walking through it. And so I loved what you said too, is like I rationally told myself it's a numbers game.
Mhm.
I knew that not everyone's going to like me.
Mhm.
I rationally knew that I had to get through 10 people to maybe get one to say yes. And so what I love about what you said there is that you use a lot of logic. And so I think people, if they use some logic and some of the self belief talk that I do love, but what I love is you really went to more of a logical, like, okay, problem solution. My solution's not going to get solved by working for signing services still.
Mhm.
And so the only way I can logically solve this is to go direct. So therefore, I had to ignore my self doubt and move through it because that was the logical next step. So if somebody watching this right now, listen to Keith. You can't make more money working for signing services. You got to go direct. Anything you want to add to that? Because you're dropping fire.
Yeah. Um, just trying to shift mindsets, And I looked at and I also followed the steps of your course. The next logical thing to do was to go direct. You go from being going to signing services, get your feet wet, learn the business, learn how to do it correctly, so on and so forth. But then you go direct, and then after that, of course, now you try to create a signing service or whatever. And that's kind of what we did, just kind of moved forward with that whole concept, and just bringing it all about, and it works. Like I said, it works. You laid it out for us, and all we did, we followed the plan. We put together a plan, we executed the plan, and here it is. You know,
I followed the plan, I executed the plan, and here it is.
yeah,
And so, you know what I love about you, Keith, is you put things in very simple terms. You simplify something that mystifies too many people. It is, I talked to 5 EOs, title officers, one's going to use me. It's just a math equation. The only solution to my money problems is on the other side of my self-doubt. So I just had to work through the self-doubt. Like working for signing services wasn't going to solve my problem. And so I love the way your brain thinks. It's just very logical, pragmatic. It's what's the next thing I got to do? I got to see him 7 or 8 times. They got to know me, like me, trust me. Like you say so many words of wisdom in such a simple way that I think it's going to help a lot of people in this conversation. So I'm going to give you the final words here, Keith. Anything you mean? There's someone's watching this right now and they're down and out. They were where you were 4 years ago.
yeah. Okay.
What would you tell them to just keep pushing, keep going, and inspire them to do what you've done, but where they live?
Look at your situation, and say, do I want to stay where I'm at? Make up your mind, say, I want to change. And then look at a course like Mark's and say, listen, I could use this because other people just like me did the same exact thing. I'm no different than anybody, and if I could do it, if I could just follow the course, follow the steps, and then put together a plan of action, which is executing what I learned, and you can do the same exact thing, but you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to put it in. I set my goal that I'm going to go ahead and go through the whole course in 3 weeks.
Mm,
That's what I did. I went through the whole course. I stuck it out, and I did it like a job. I maybe you don't have time. Maybe you're part time. You have to look at it, but I didn't have a job, so I looked at it as a job. I went through the course at 8 hours a day, just constantly going through for 3 weeks straight. Passed it all, got it set, and then I went ahead and started executing what I learned. And so I would say, if you're thinking about doing it, don't hesitate because it works. I'm a living example.
I did it like a job. So good. I'll say it again. Like it's very obvious why you're successful. You're pragmatic, you're solution oriented, solution driven. You put in systems, you called a plan, I called a system. You put in systems, you execute the systems. And like, look, I got the course and I'm going to do it like a job. I'm going to wake up at 6. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to sit down at 8. I'm going to bang it out for 4 hours. I'm going to do lunch, bang it out for 4 hours. I'm going to go hang out with my family. And I think this very systematic, logical, rational thing, a lot of people can take it, right? So like you said, maybe you're full-time right now. Maybe look at studying as a second part-time job. You get home at 7. From 7 to 9, I'm working my job. It is AKA studying. But if you treat it like a job, then you'll get the business you want out of it. Keith, out of the great state of Tennessee, I appreciate you, brother. And until next time, man, let's go. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.